Did raucous.
Yes. Okay, we're
The-
getting ready to
the
go on YouTube.
The
Sorry.
agenda hasn't gone out yet for Tuesday, right?
No,
Correct.
but we
No.
know, I mean, we know Matt Bowman said they're coming out, his group for the flag. And Chestercott's obviously a big issue.
Right.
Okay, we are now streaming live. We will record. And we are ready to go.
Thank you. I'm calling this meeting a planning committee meeting, October 4th at 6 o'clock. May we please have the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of
of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
Justice
for
for
all.
all.
We have a very short meeting tonight.
Good.
First thing on the agenda, roll call. I'm sorry. Can we have roll call, please?
Sandy Pavano,
Here,
David Borwe,
Present.
and Jim Jinks.
Here.
thank you all for attending. We have two items on the agenda, and the first item will be consideration of a poet laureate, and I will turn this over to Arnett to talk about this.
Okay. You know, and before I do, I apologize. I want to close my door because Noelle and I are both here and echoing. Sorry. This was brought up a while ago. There was a request. And we've done some research and we have some information. There are several communities within Connecticut that has a poet laureate. In your packets, we had given you examples of some of their criteria and their description of their programs. And the state of Connecticut has a poet laureate program as well. What I thought I'm sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Nope, I think that's just some
Oh,
traffic
just
noise.
someone honking at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do have a draft enabling resolution that would create the position of poet laureate and at the same time establish a process for finding somebody and appointing them. So it was in your packet. If that is the direction that the planning committee wishes to go, what I can do is pull that up and we can go through that. If there's another direction that someone would like to consider, then I'm happy to go in that direction as well.
Yes, I guess we should be looking at that document resolution.
Okay.
David, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Jim? Yeah,
I mean, I'm all for having a process, and I think that's probably sort of, standard practice, but I also think that we might want to just consider going ahead and suggesting that we appoint Pat Matola, who is, as we know, I think we know she's the president of the Poetry Society in Connecticut, living right here in Cheshire. She already works with the seniors at the senior center. She does programs, I think, in the schools and the library. She's going to be doing work with the ball and socket. I mean, I don't think I really don't think we're going to find someone else as qualified or as accomplished as she is in Cheshire. But so I think we should suggest just appointing her. But I also think that perhaps having a process going forward makes sense too.
Dave?
I agree with that last part, Jim. I actually agree with the beginning part that Pat is probably going to be the person, and I would hate to lose somebody of that caliber for us to consider. But I really believe the process needs to be followed first. And I think tonight we're going to unanimously recommend the council consider this. And I think then what I was going to suggest, and I talked to Sandy about this yesterday because I just want to get her thoughts to pass it along as chairman to Arnett to get the document ready. I think we should probably have a term starting January 1 and go for 2 years. And that way the new town council each year can make the reappointment if they wish to. But what we would do is then send out almost an RFP, resumes, like you guys did for the rent commission.
Okay.
And we would send out and tell everybody that if the council adopts this next week, which they will, then get it out in the paper the week after and give everyone till the first week of November. And we as a planning committee can interview anybody we choose to interview, a few days after we can look at the resumes right after the closing of the time period and probably have somebody in November.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
suspect it'll be Pat, but I think I want to follow the process and just open it up because I think that would be more fair.
I agree with David. There is a process. I think we should follow the process. I mean, we may end up in the same place, but I think we should follow the process.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the thing about the January 1st, because I was going to mention that too, David. I'm not sure why it said July 1st. That might just been sort of boilerplate date or
Right.
something, but
Right.
Well, last time we were
Yeah.
looking at it, that date would have made sense because it was shortly after when we looked at it. But
okay, I got you.
now it seems as though right after the new council seats would be the right time to do it, similar to town attorney contract. And thank
Yeah.
heavens town manager doesn't run out. That's a continuous one, but and the assistant too. So, but we want to, and the management specialist, but we want to make sure that we have some of them in sync with the council. And I think the timing is perfect on this.
Agree.
Yeah. That's fine.
Okay.
So we have consensus. Arnett, do we need a motion to
I
forward
think
this?
she wants to bring up what she was
Yeah,
talking.
I will share the screen and we can go. through
that's a
the
good idea. Thank you.
Changes
Yeah.
and then we can move that. And I will also say that, here we go. This particular, why is that there? This process is it's based on two sources. One is the information from the state
Mhm.
Poet Laureate program and what some of the other communities are doing. And it's also similar to the process that we used for the town historian a few years ago. We actually did a solicitation seeking applicants for the volunteer position of town historian, and we had about 4 or 5 applicants. And the council chose from those. And then if the council chooses to just reappoint, there's no need to do a new request for submissions, but what you can if you want. So that being said, so here is a draft resolution. Be it resolved, and this is the actual creation of the town council hereby creates pursuant to the guidelines of the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development, the role of Poet Laureate for the town of Cheshire. So this will actually establish that position. This honorary position shall be appointed by the council for a 2-year term, and we will do January 1 through January. I can't type.
Mhm.
Okay. Upon
So you-
completion of,
Oh, sorry, just while you're there, so it would be 2024 to 2026.
yep.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Upon completion of a solicitation for nominations and a review of qualifications of applicant submissions. Before I go to the second part of that sentence, this process requires not an application, it requires a nomination.
Okay.
No, it does not allow self-nominations. So someone would need to, and which is not a problem. Pat has plenty of people that can nominate her as other people would, I'm sure.
Mhm.
So the process would need to be, we would solicit nominations, and then there would be a review of qualifications of submissions by a council-appointed Cheshire Poet Laureate Selection Committee. That can simply be the planning committee of the council, or in other communities, it's the library board or a subcommittee of the library board. That's really up to what the planning committee would like to suggest to the council. We can put
I
that
mean,
in
I'd
there.
like to suggest we make it simple and just say by a council, by the planning committee of the town council. Because I don't think we want to drag this out, and I'd love to get other people involved, but I think it would, I think it's going to be pretty obvious who the most qualified person is. And therefore, I don't know that it's worth bothering other people to get their time in there. Just my thought. Sandy, you're the chairman.
That's fine, no, that's fine.
All
Jim?
right. Maybe he hit traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was trying to unmute.
Okay.
That's fine.
Oh.
Thanks,
All right, so we'll be the ones that review them. Okay,
right,
These requirements are from the state. The poet laureate must be a full-time Cheshire resident for at least 2 years and be nominated by another resident.
all right, wait, before we go, I have a question on that one. Can we
Yep.
say and remain a resident while appointed or while in office? Or do we not
Yes.
need to say that because they automatically have to be?
They.
I don't want them
it's
to
not a bad
move to
idea to
another
put it
town or
in
move to
here.
Florida, and then, if they're not around,
Right,
they shouldn't continue to be having their nomination. They shouldn't continue to hold office.
right.
that's a good idea, Dave, that's good, yeah.
One thing I would say is I kind of question why they have to be a resident for 2 years. I mean, if we deem them to be qualified, if there's someone that, if they happen to have moved into town within the last 6 months or something, who cares,
Yeah.
I think if we deem them to be qualified, I think that should be fine. I don't think it has to be some kind of residency requirement. They're not being elected or anything, it's just appointed.
Right. It's from the state. We
It's
don't, you
from
can
the
certainly
state,
take
yeah.
out the 2 years.
I mean,
How do
I
you
guess
go?
I don't mind whether it's in or not, but I think it might be nice if they were familiar with the schools and the
Yeah,
library and other programs that
too.
we have.
yeah,
And it would be unlikely that a non-resident would be, but if we find somebody who's a new resident that was qualified, that we probably should not be precluded from choosing them.
Okay, how about then? Must be a
Full-time, yeah.
full-time Cheshire resident and
Mhm.
must remain a full-time Cheshire resident while serving in this role. And be nominated by another Cheshire resident.
That's good.
yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, next sentence. Be recognized by peers in the public as an accomplished, traditionally published poet.
Okay.
Okay. And again, this comes from the state and other communities. Soon after appointment, shall present to the council a plan for local poetry and literary activities during their 2-year term for the council's approval.
Okay.
Foster public appreciation of poetry and literary arts.
Mhm.
Implement special poetry and literary projects as identified and requested by the town council. Serve without compensation and shall not gain personal financial benefit from this role. Serve the town council with no authority to direct town officials or town staff. And turn over all original work created for the town of Cheshire as Cheshire's poet laureate to the town for display and archival purposes.
Okay.
Again, that language is pretty much directly from the state.
Has the town attorney, has Jeff looked at this?
He did the last time, yes.
Okay, so then that's fine. All right.
Yep.
I
I'm
think there
fine.
was some,
mhm,
Just out of curiosity, other than being paid by, other than it being a paid position by the town, how would someone financially benefit from being the town's poet laureate?
Someone could offer them financial benefit to perhaps include their work in presentations, or could pay her to pay a poet laureate to do a presentation of their work. There are ways that they could
Yeah.
sell or collect money. That's pretty standard. And I think it was also in the town historian resolution as well.
So you mean the work that they do for the town, they could potentially get compensation for the work they do for the town?
Right, Only for
Okay.
the work that they do for the town, only the programs
Gotcha.
for the town. So if they
Gotcha.
publish their own book that's completely independent from the town, obviously
Right.
they need to make a living, they need to do
Yeah.
that. So it's just their role as Cheshire's poet laureate.
Right, I understand. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
All right, and I'm gonna be vague about this, and I know Arnett, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You've been around long enough to know we had issues with the historian in the past, and we've had a lot of historians, so I'm being vague enough, and that's fine. Does that cover what you believe were the problems that we had? Or the perceived
Yes.
problems? Okay, very good.
Yes.
That's all I'm concerned about. Thank you.
This is pretty structured. We didn't structure it. We were following the appropriate, the settled structure and, but it's not, I don't think it's onerous. I think it's flexible enough that we would be able to find and appoint somebody who could do a great job.
Yeah, it seems to fit the purpose pretty well.
So,
Well, I'll move this. I move we recommend
yeah.
this to the full council.
Great.
Second.
Jim?
Good.
Second.
All in favor? All right.
Aye.
great,
So move to the council.
right. And we will put that draft in the packet for the council.
Wonderful.
meeting.
Thank you, Arnett, for your work on that.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm happy to move it along.
And the only other item is naming of town property policy. And I think there were some changes that we wanted to make when we had first looked at this. Arnett?
Yep, there were two comments made. One is that we not exclude the Board of Education property. So you'll see that the first cross out in your packet, the
Yes.
language other than property operated by the Board of Education would be struck. So this policy would cover all town-owned property. And the second comment was there was a statement that said the name should be respected throughout the town, and there seemed to be agreement that that was too vague and too objective and just didn't really belong in this policy. So those two changes were made, and if those look good to the committee, or if you'd like to make some more changes, then this is ready to go to council for adoption next week.
David?
Good. No, I have no problems.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah,
Jim?
that last part, just to clarify, that last part was too subjective, not too objective.
Right, sorry.
Oh,
Thank you. Whoa.
Subjective is the problem, not
Yeah,
objective.
thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
yes.
Thank you for catching that. Jim.
Helps if we use the right words.
Sorry.
Thank you,
I'm-
Jim.
Sorry, I mean, we're nitpicking here, so I thought I nitpicked.
No, no, no.
No, I appreciate it. Thank
We
you.
want it to be right.
Otherwise, yeah, it all looked good to me.
Great.
Do you want to move it? And
Yes,
I'll
please.
second it, Jim.
I move that to the council.
All right, I'll
with the
second that.
changes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. So this will be in the packet also for the next council.
Yes. Yep, for approval.
So thank you very much. This is concludes our meeting. Everyone have a wonderful evening and thank you very much to all of you.